And her golf ball lands in that first cut. Still can get a club on it, and let's see what she does from there. Just in the first cut of rough, not a bad lie. The only issue is he might get a jumper here. Okay, good shot on the dance floor. This one just requires a little bit of focus. Been a little too much of that, Frank, just sort of ho-hum pars. Now to the fifth hole and a challenging par 4.
Slightly longer this year, played off a new tee at the back, and there used to be 2 bunkers down the right side. They've now been put together to form one, and in the perfect position that really make you think about your tee shot. It takes a very big drive to try and carry that bunker on the right. It's going to be at least 315 plus yards to get past that. Green itself still tilts a little left to right and back towards the player.
This is the second shot at the par 4. This one is definitely heading left. Looks like it is going to end up in the rough. Pretty good result right there, considering
it looked rough all the way.
Exactly.
Rich, really did.
Shouldn't be a problem here, but not a formality either. Can't make it, Frank, if you don't hit it.
Hubert Green once said, 99% of putts left short don't go in. I don't know what happened to the other 1%, but...
In for par. Now to the par 4 sixth. Decision time, Frank. Driver, or do you go with 3-wood?
A lot of that's going to depend on if there's any breeze. If the breeze is at your back, you can drive it all the way down the right side and take those 2 bunkers down the right completely out of play. This hole's been stiffened up, though. The length hasn't increased for that bunkering in that choke point. So, the strategy. Do you have the length to get past them? Or, if you have to lay up, it's going to leave a much longer second shot.
Nicely played shot, about 310 yards down the fairway. I think this one looks like it might have a postage stamp on it. Airmail City.
Yeah, lick it. Send it.
Ooh, nice play right there. That's in pretty close. Good try, just didn't quite read the break, Frank.
It shouldn't be a problem, you'd think, cleaning up here for par.
Just a couple of feet. Well done. Par 4 sixth, and Frank, a couple of options here.
Yeah, a hole that bends to the left. A draw is the preferred shot off the tee. The longer hitters will have a big advantage. They'll be able to get it down there and just have a pitch or a short wedge into this. If you're not, that long, then you're going to have to lay it back short of those bunkers. That's going to leave a lengthy second shot.
That was like Usain Bolt, Frank, right through the tape.
Yeah, that first step, that was never going to stop.
Second shot coming out of the rough here. We haven't seen a whole lot of that, Frank, but that has to feel good. Frank, the par 4 eighth, this is a good hole.
It is. A dog leg to the left forces the player to go out the right, and this will play every inch of its yardage, which is over 470 yards. Green's still pretty much the same with that false front, unless there's a flag position in the front. You're really going to have to fly at least 20 yards or so into that green, otherwise that ball is going to run towards the front.
Officials calling that one around 310 yards. Second shot, good look at the green. That's a solid shot here into the 8th hole, and a good chance now for another birdie. Getting set now over the putt. Well, after that birdie, has to be feeling as though they're not out of it just yet.
They're not far away from the first page of the leaderboard. A couple more birdies.
Don't forget third round coverage coming your way tomorrow on EA Sports. For Frank Nobilo, I'm Rich Lerner, saying so long for now. This is EA Sports. PGA Tour coverage coming up next. Here at the TPC Scottsdale in Arizona, and Frank, when so many people tune in to watch this great event, they think immediately of the 16th hole with all of those fans jammed in. It's like Fenway Park inside the desert there, but it's much more than that little par 3, isn't it?
It certainly is more than that, Rich. The TPC Scottsdale is a great venue for a PGA Tour event. It's a blend of everything: birdie opportunities, holes that are fought by water, bunkering that's been changed. All in all, it's a great atmosphere with nearly 500,000 people that visit this during the tournament week. And safely on deck.
That was a big, bold strike, and now a chance for a big, bold move. Putt for eagle coming up. That was not a very good read right there. Shouldn't be a problem here.
Well, we'll never know if that had gone in, because it never made it.
Nudge this one home, finish it up. That is a solid par putt. Frank, the one moment that sort of made the 16th hole what it is today would have to be Tiger's ace in 1997 here at the TPC Scottsdale when it was raining plastic cups.
It was also his reaction, too, and that ushered in the Tiger Woods era that we became associated with, which is the fist-pumping, the rowdy spectators. I mean, he was one of the few players that bridged the gap between spectator and golf course. And it still goes on till today. And I think Rory McIlroy probably is the only other player that starts to broach that type of inside and outside atmosphere with golf.
Still to this day, it's the loudest single moment that I can ever remember hearing on a golf course. Frank, when you get to the 17th hole, we always recall maybe the single most bizarre shot in the history of golf.
Yeah, everybody talks about maybe a hole-in-one at 16, but really 17. And the player was Andrew McGee. It was a good tee shot, don't get me wrong. But, Rich, it needed an assist.
Well, the assist came from Tom Byram, whose brother Kurt is a commentator for the Golf Channel. Tom Byram was just minding his own business, standing on the green, sort of leaning on his putter, and you know what happened.
Yeah, the ball hit Tom Byram's putter and then careened into the hole. So, 17. Made famous, a little bit of history with a couple of names to drag up from the past.
Starting to move now, Frank, on this leaderboard.
Certainly going all in the positive direction. He was in the middle of the pack, now top 15.
To the 18th hole now, and Frank, the original designers stepped in and they made this hole quite a bit more challenging.
Yeah, they certainly have stiffened it up. The longest hitters in the game, the Dustin Johnsons, the Bubba Watsons, the J.B. Holmes, used to take it completely over the lake down the left side where there was just one paltry bunker. Now there's a series of bunkers, almost like the church pews at Oakmont, that are littered down the left side, stopping that attack. You're going to have to respect this hole that much more off the tee. Find the fairway. It's still a short iron in, but this finishing hole is now a proper finishing hole.
Great way to finish off the final approach shot with a birdie opportunity. Just needs to keep it steady here over the putt.
Inexcusable.
Good roll. 3 rounds in the books. Outside the top 10 going to the final 18. Frank, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think you're going to have to approach the final round in a couple of different phases. Try and be aggressive early on. If you do get a few birdies in the bank, you really still can fancy yourself with a chance to win. It'll all depend on that start tomorrow.
EA Sports is proud to present today's PGA Tour coverage. Simply put, there is nothing like it in the game of golf. It is by far the biggest spectator event in the sport. We're at TPC Scottsdale in Scottsdale, Arizona. Hello again and welcome. Rich Lerner alongside my friend and colleague Frank Nobilo. And Frank, what can you tell us about this golf course?
Well, everybody wants to know about 16, the famed par 3 here, surrounded by those skyboxes. Once again, that'll be a topic of the day. But really, this is a regular sight for the PGA Tour. So those of you that were familiar with the golf course, it's now changed. 2014, the designers Morris and Weiskopf did a...
Frank, you've just hit one in the water. You don't want to compound the mistake. What's the mindset here?
This one right here, you've got to forget that big blue oasis in front of you.
This now the 4th shot after the last one was in the water.
Yeah, just somehow just get it on the green.
Well, he didn't knock down the flagstick right there, but 25 feet, that's not too bad.
Even par, currently.
That's good work right there. Just a tap-in. These putts keep the round together.
It's a cruel game.
Frank, you know full well, this can be a humbling game.
And an embarrassing game.
Well, here we are at the 16th hole, looking at just over 160 yards. Doesn't seem all that daunting, Frank. But 160 yards with 20,000 people, horned into a little stadium in the desert, that makes it a different story.
It certainly is. This was one hole, too, where Tom Watson would send his caddy forward. He would stay back by 15. His caddy would get his yardage. Watson would simply walk on the tee. His caddy would give him the club. He would not go through his normal routine. He would simply just head away. It was one hole that he never wanted to think about. It might look simple, but it's what the player feels.
Speed wasn't bad on that long putt, but the read wasn't very good. And getting ready for the putt. You can't leave it short, Frank.
Oh, and especially right in the middle.
Just a tap in to finish the hole. Not her best effort, walks away with a bogey. Now to the 17th, and Frank, fair to say this is one of the best short par 4s in all of golf?
It is. The drivable par 4 that's designed the way it's meant to be played is a winner. The ones that are just shortened to be made drivable, they don't work. This was designed to be a 17th hole, and it was designed to be drivable. You couldn't get a better place, and you couldn't get a better par 4.
Playing this par 4, still not on the green after that second shot.
That's still not done. A good third shot. Maybe get away here with par.
Oh, what an incredible shot.
Rich, 18 was always considered a long finishing hole.
Not for J.B. Holmes.
Yeah, the water was always in play. And then the day he took it over the left side and carried everything and went on to win, that completely changed the way this golf course played ever since that day.
And it resulted in some of the changes we're seeing now.
Yeah, evidence, the new bunkering down the left side, but it showed us all how much and how strong these guys are, how much they've improved over the years.
So maybe a nice way to finish up with a good approach here to the 18th and a good chance for birdie.
It's no snack, though. How did that not go in?
Well, that would have been a bonus had it gone in, but still, reasonable chance for par here.
Yeah, there's no damage. You're not going to birdie every hole.
Sitting right now at 2 over par for the round. Well, not in contention, but in for par. So that concludes the final round here at this spectacular setting. Frank, final thoughts on the tournament?
Rich, I thought this was really a fantastic venue that challenged the players, and we saw some exciting golf out there all across the board.
NBC Golf Channel on EA Sports, in association with the PGA Tour, proudly presents the season-long race for the FedEx Cup. Today, it's live opening round coverage of the Arnold Palmer Invitational. But this could be really good, Frank.
Oh, straight at it.
Frank, not the longest hitter, but sometimes you win tournaments by putting it in a good spot, and that's where we are right here, 280 yards out.
Yeah, 280 down the middle of the fairway. That'll never get you in trouble.
On the green, and looking at a birdie opportunity. Pretty long putt right here. You'd be happy to get it to within 2-3 feet. Looks like he just misread that. Settles in over the putt. Hit it. Just a couple of feet.
It went from bad to worse, and right now, horrible.
What do they say, Frank? Golf spelled backwards is
Flog.
Flog.
It's fine.
This tournament has such a rich history. When you look at the list of multiple tournament winners here at Bay Hill, names like Ernie Els, Tom Kite, Lauren Roberts pop up. They've all won it twice. And then there's one guy who obviously stands above everyone.
Yeah, Tiger Woods winning here 8 times. Obviously, the golf course is perfect for him, but it's the stature of the event. The Arnold Palmer Invitation has gone on for so long. It's one of the events that you look forward to. You know what the golf course is like, but also you know what's required to play well there. Now, just when you thought they might pick up one, now settle for a par.
You have to make those from that distance. That hurts. So they'll tap in. Well, with that drop shot, moves to 1 over for the tournament. Frank, the par 5s here at Bay Hill so important. What's the 12th like?
570 odd yards. Tee it high, let it fly.
She had a good shot off the tee, and now she has all sorts of options available. Let's see what she does here.
That's an absolute beauty.
So after the layup, Frank, here at the par 5 12th, pitch shot here, try to make birdie.
Yeah, just use the contours of this green. You can actually get to this flag a lot of different ways. Using one of the mounds, there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, that is an exceptional shot on the green and in position for a birdie.
Yeah, it's a formality now.
Comfortably inside the cut line, the young prodigy makes another birdie. Action flying all over the place. Let's get down now to the 13th. As we catch up with today's featured golfer, just been holding steady all day long, Frank.
A solid round of golf. 4 of these will certainly bode well come the end of the week.
Can't ask for much more. Right in the fairway here at 13. Second shot. Good look at the green. Appears to be what they call a commercial play. Very solid. Birdie try up next. This is a long putt. Really, the key is the speed. If it drops, that's a bonus.
We often say, Rich, you should always try and make it. I got to disagree with that. Lag putting, it's just about taking the strain off the next one. There's always other holes to be played.
From that distance, you settle for 2 putts. Frank, that's a par, and onward we go. Frank, now to the 14th of par 3, and how difficult is this hole?
Once again, very narrow entry into the green, so ideally you want to fly the ball a little higher than normal, make it soft, make it land a little softer.
Just another solid shot, about 8 feet from the hole. This one just requires a little bit of focus. Came to the putt, excited to make birdie. Now, settle for par.
Yeah, little change in the attitude right now. You've let one go. You've got to really knuckle down there and make sure you don't drop a shot. It's important this one goes in.
We're here at the 15th now, and a big dogleg right on this one. Frank, what's the best route to take to shoot the low number?
You've got to look at that run out down the left side, which is about 320 yards. If you can stay short of that, then that gives you a perfect shot into this green.
Second shot from the rough. It's on the way. Now the approach shot, par 4, 15th hole. Frank, break it down.
Green narrows up the further back you go, so the most generous place to land the ball is in the front half of this green. It's also the flattest section of the green.
Never quite had enough oomph on that.
Yeah, sort of a wishy-washy stroke.
Just a little tap in here. So that's a bogey, and now to 1 over par for the tournament. Second round coverage coming your way tomorrow. For our entire crew, I'm Rich Lerner alongside Frank Nobilo. So long for now. NBC Golf Channel on EA Sports, in association with the PGA Tour, proudly presents the season-long race for the FedEx Cup. It's second round coverage of the Arnold Palmer Invitational. Frank, that ball's sitting up like it's on plush carpeting.
Rich, if you and I had lies like that every time, we'd still be playing this game for 11.
Good, clean contact and a nice result, and a chance for birdie coming up.
A little bit more hope than determination in that putt.
Locked in on the read and the speed. That's a nice confidence builder right there. You make those for par, and you keep things steady. Frank, back in 1998, by any chance, do you remember Exactly how many golf balls John Daly hit into the water at the 6th?
It was half a dozen. Half a box of golf balls.
Frank, right where you want to be.
Wouldn't be better if it was on a tee.
Now the second shot to the par 5. All right, Frank, you've played it safe. Now you have that third shot. What's the best way to get to that hole location and make the birdie?
The angle of the green really does favor the layup shot because at least you're hitting across the length of the green, but it's a little bit like that third hole, a very narrow green. So once again, that wedge shot has to be very precise.
Well, there's an opportunity wasted.
Just knock it in for a par, and let's forget about this one. Golf is not about perfect, but it's going to hurt the cause.
Good roll. Well, you're breathing a sigh of relief. Your round wasn't sunk at the par 5 6th, and now you come to this par 3. It's just a little under 200 yards.
Yeah, aiming at the middle of the green's not a bad thing here, Rich. You can always putt to the corners and have a birdie chance.
You take 3 and walk off this hole to the 8th?
Well, you could get a little greedy. You know, a tee shot in the middle of this green is not too bad. You'll still have a birdie putt.
Trying to generate some momentum here at the 7th hole. This for birdie.
It's no snack, though.
How does that not go in? So a tester from 4 feet.
Well, that was a tricky one, but it's in.
Now at the 8th, and Frank, this really is a clever design, fun hole to play.
Very pretty hole. That bunker down the left, just over 300 yards. Ideally, you just work it off that bunker. Second shot.
Not looking good, Frank.
I think it's wet.
Frank, I hate to go negative, but let's clear a few things up. The penalties when you hit it in the water versus hitting it out of bounds.
Yeah, some people, that's a good question, Rich, because some people think they're almost the same, but when you hit it out of bounds, you're actually losing stroke.
Extra stroke added after going into the water. This is the 6th shot after that previous shot went into the water. Frank, you always talk about it not compounding the error, but here again, another shot from the rough.
Yeah, if you try again.
That looked like a miss hit, Frank.
The lie was okay. It's a little surprising. Maybe wrong club.
Well, double par here. Time to pick up and move on. Finishing up here on the front side at Bay Hill with a lengthy par 4. What's the key, Frank?
Well, the hole's relatively flat, but the rough on the right comes into play. If you can carry that ball 300 yards, then just take it in over the bunker.
This, the second shot with the par 4. Headed for the bunker, I think. Somehow that managed to miss the bunker, Frank.
Yeah, that looked like it was sand for sure.
Pretty long putt right here. You'd be happy to get it to within 2-3 feet. That was not a very good read right there. Getting set now over the putt. They'll take it. That's a par.
Well, early exit for one of what I thought Rich was going to be the favorite, but their week's over.
Numbers don't lie in this case, in this sport, and now a missed cut. This is EA Sports PGA Tour coverage coming up next. Today it's live opening round coverage of the Alberta Classic. That is a really good tee shot right there, Frank.
I think that tipped the 300-yard mark.
Well, Frank, certainly a chance to make a three here, but there's also a little bit of a risk.
Yeah, like a few of the greens on this golf course, if you just miss that target there, the ball has a tendency to run off in a different direction. Anything left of the flag here is liable to run towards the left, could even kick into that bunker.
Good strike right there, right off the center of the face and about 20 feet away. And getting ready for the putt.
Oh, that even caught me by surprise, Rich. I thought par was in the bag.
This now for bogey. Well, with that drop shot, moves to 1 over for the tournament. Coverage continues at EA Sports. Let's go out now to our featured golfer at the 13th. Finishing up this first round has not gone all that well, but still a little time, Frank, to put a positive spin on the day.
Yes, tough days are actually hard to score. I know that's stating the obvious, but to minimize the damage. So this is all about trying to minimize the damage, because when you're playing well, it's easy to score well.
Pretty good shot right there. Clean this up with a tap. Well, not in contention, but in for par. Well, here we are at the 14th hole. It's a par 4, 442 yards. You like this hole, Frank?
I do, but if you were spraying it off the tee here, then there's all sorts of problems. Bunkers left, trees right. This is a fairway you must hit.
Second shot. Good look at the green. Well, that is an exceptional shot on the green and in position for a birdie.
Yeah, it's a formality now.
Well, that's a bit disappointing.
I guarantee you, though, she thought she had that one.
Just a couple of feet. Frank, here comes Jason Duffner making a bit of a move.
If that putter can just heat up a little bit with the rest of his game, look out.
Only one shot back. Now to the 15th tee, and Frank, this looks like a fun shot to hit.
It won't play its full yardage because of that elevated tee, but a good one out here. We might see one of those 350, 360 plus yard drives.
Good tee shot, right in the fairway, and plenty long. Frank, I'm always fascinated by the way professionals approach the game and how different it is from us amateurs. You're not just standing up and hitting a shot, hoping to catch it on the middle of the face. You're thinking about lower high, left to right, or right to left.
Yeah, there's two schools of thought, really. You're either moving the shot away from something or towards something. So this is a great example here. You could be moving the ball away from the left side of the green, but closer towards the flag.
Well, that about wraps things up for us here today. I'd like to thank my partner, Frank Nobilo. Enjoyed it, Frank.
Certainly did, Rich. Once again, the golf course provided more than a stern test.
And for the entire team, I'm Rich Lerner. Until next time. presented by EA Sports and the PGA Tour. It's second round coverage of the Alberta Classic. Now to the second par 5 on this opening 9. Frank, this is a pretty long hole, 602 yards.
Well, it's called hoodoo. Do you know what hoodoo means? It means bad luck, actually, so you don't really want to be thinking about that on this tee shot. 602 yards, if you belt one off the tee, well, you might avoid the bad luck.
Second from an excellent lie. Frank, a chance to get home in 2 here on this par 5?
You would think so after a good tee shot, Rich. A very long, narrow green. The best shot would be to hit a nice, high, towering second shot, but anything that pitches on the front is going to skip forward.
Regarded as a very accurate player, that shot says it all. This can be a cruel game at times. Oh, man.
Just pushed it.
Boy, that hurts. This one just requires a little bit of focus. In for par. Now to hole number 8. It's another par 3 with some water. Frank, only 150 yards. This is the shortest hole in the golf course.
But distance control is still very important. If you can get the right distance, you could perhaps aim 10 or 15 feet left of the flag. You're only going to have a 10 or 15 foot putt. So just think of that. Water on the right there. Maybe just aim a little further to the left. You can still make birdie. A little bit more hope and determination in that putt. Even par currently.
Okay, no problem with that one. So we'll round out the front side here at Banff Springs with a par 5 and reasonably short at only 501 yards.
So very reachable because of that yardage that you just referenced. Hole bends a little bit to the right. You can favor the left side with a tee shot. It's just going to make that angle on the second a little bit easier.
She really hit that tee ball nicely. It is in perfect position, and now she'll have a chance to capitalize. Frank, this one's not looking good.
Yeah, certainly not down the fairway line, heading toward the rough.
Pretty good result right there, considering...
It looked rough all the way.
Exactly.
Rich, really did.
Slight waggle, relaxed arms, ready to go. Frank, this is a place where you can really sort of commune with nature. It's absolutely spectacular out here, isn't it?
I've forgotten how pretty it is. Canada, no disrespect, but, you know, elk, some of the wildlife. The golf course is just beautiful, too. The view, I mean, it's very easy to get distracted. It's that sneaky distance.
That's costly right there.
Painful.
How does that stay out?
I have no earthly idea. That's cruel, that. Hole's round. Ball's meant to go in.
Nudge this one home. Finish it up. Frank, you know full well this can be a humbling game.
And an embarrassing game.
Frank, we begin this back 9 with a real test. It's a 218-yard par 3.
And it's very easy to get lulled into the shape of that lake there on the right side and try and hit a cut in here. But that cut's going to work against the natural shape of the hole. If anything, a nice high draw.
Good putt. So off the long par 3 10th, we are at the 11th hole, 417-yard par 4, Frank.
It looks like a straightaway par 4, Rich, but if anything, the hole actually bends to the left, and you really want to follow that natural contour of that. Just sort of draw it off those bunkers on the right, or just simply carry it over the ones on the left. But ideally, down the left side, it avoids that pine tree that's further down.
Frank, here at the 11th hole, second shot, another chance to make a birdie.
Certainly is. The only thing you're guarding against here with that second shot into 11 is just going long. Pretty generous green once again because it slopes back into the player's face. The ball's not going to kick forward.
Playing this par 4, still not on the green after that second shot.
But still not done. A good third shot. Maybe get away here with par.
Okay, good shot on the dance floor. Really not much to this. The only issue would be a lack of concentration or focus. Good roll. Solid. That's a par. Frank, what are we looking at here at the par 4 12, 442 yards?
Players are really focused on that bunker down the left side. That's the one that has to be either laid up, which would be 286 yards off the tee, or sort of worked off. This could very well be a 3-wood off the tee. Just hit it straight at that left bunker.
That one is in the fairway, down there about 290 yards. Now playing the second here at the par 4. Well played here, went straight for the flagstick, and she will have a nice putt coming up. These putts keep the round together. Well, that's just a case of not focusing right there. What a lapse in concentration. Always love to hear the sound at the bottom of the cup. Missed cut. What happened, Frank?
Just not good enough. That's the easy way. Way too many shots out there, especially for that caliber of play. So put it in the memory banks. Move forward. Better days ahead.
EA Sports and the PGA Tour proudly present the season-long race for the FedEx Cup. Today, it's live opening round coverage of the International Challenge. Right where they were aiming, in the fairway.
Second shot.
Third shot, looking for a good one. These are the kind of putts that keep a round going about 10 feet away for par. Standing over this putt, concentrating on the read. Frank, there's an old basketball announcer who used to say when a ball went in and out of the cylinder just the way that one did, he would say, ringtail howitzer. And that one just didn't go in.
Frank, this is just an embarrassing performance.
There's no crying in golf, Rich.
Frank, you come to an Open Championship and you expect to hear the term gorse. You see it here on the 11th hole. If you do end up in the gorse, what can you possibly do to get out?
Well, anything you can. A lot of the times it's an unplayable lie, but if you remember back 2004, Ernie Els tried to play a ball when it was suspended about 3 feet off the ground and managed to flick it out of the sort of the thorny gorse.
Frank couldn't ask for anything more.
Just the lie there, too. It is sitting up like it's teed up.
Superb shot.
Well, it's as good as it's going to get. There's going to be no worries about making that one.
Could use this. A putt for par. Well, not in contention, but in for par. Frank, how do you size up the 12th hole here at Royal Troon?
Well, first look at 430 yards, you'd think it'd be a rather easy par 4. But that's not really the issue. The issue is gorse right and left.
This is the second shot at the par 4. That will be a great look at birdie. Right off the edge.
Just a fraction softer, then it might have just turned in.
Did the job right there. Our featured golfer has made it to the 13th hole. Let's pick up the action right there. Frank, how would you assess this first round performance from our featured golfer?
I'd say commercial, solid, very professional. If this is the worst round they score all week, it's not such a bad round.
They'll be happy with that. In the fairway, now a good chance to attack this hole. Second from an excellent lie.
This is not heading in the right direction.
No, it looks like it's going to be in the rough. Into the tall cabbage. That ball is swallowed up.
Remember, out of the rough. Expect the ball to jump forward a little bit.
That shot does finish up on the green, but it sets up for a very difficult putt. Long putt here. This will require a good touch. That is a painful miss right there. And a bogey. Drop shot here at the 13th. And getting ready for the putt. Just a shade over par. +1. And that'll do it from the shores of Scotland and historic Royal Troon Golf Club. For EA Sports, I'm Rich Schroeder alongside Frank Nobilo. We'll see you next time. EA Sports and the PGA Tour proudly present the season-long race for the FedEx Cup. Today, it's live second-round coverage of the International Challenge. Right in the heart of the fairway, green light special. Well, she's firing on all cylinders right now, has really played mistake-free golf. It has been a pleasure to watch. That is tasty looking right there, Frank. Just a perfect spot in the fairway.
That is prime real estate. How do you get a lie like that? Seriously, you could hit any club from there.
That's a sensible approach shot right there. In good position on the green.
Really. This is an awkward length.
Frank, you know what gets me about this game? Here a person makes a legitimate effort, makes a good stroke, and that ball spins around and is just laughing at the player. And now what's left, you could breathe on that ball. It counts the same as a 300-yard drive. It's not right.
But it's the beauty of the game.
She really hit that tee ball nicely. It is in perfect position, and now she'll have a chance to capitalize. Well, this is how you build a good round, Frank. You just keep hitting greens. Shouldn't be a problem here. Well, that's a bit disappointing.
I guarantee you, though, she thought she had that one.
Just a couple of feet. Frank, it has been that kind of a tournament. Another bogey. Frank beginning to head towards home. This is the 13th of par 4.
Another dogleg right. Problem isn't really the tee shot here, even though there's undulations and mounds all over the fairway. Second shot's played uphill to an elevated green.
Nice position, short grass, second shot. We haven't seen a whole lot of that, Frank, but that has to feel good. Frank, what kind of par 3 is the 14th here?
You can get sucked in here. Just 180 yards, which isn't considered that long. But if you look too much at the front of the green, you're going to see that's where the protection is.
Terrific golf shot. And now that for an easy birdie.
Chance for back-to-back.
Comfortably inside the cut line, the young prodigy makes another birdie. Well, Frank, Royal Troon Golf Club did not disappoint today.
No, it certainly didn't. The old bounce and roll game, it's a game for everyone. You never really perfect it. You just learn it and you get better at it.
And with that, we bid you farewell from the shores of Scotland for EA Sports. This is Rich Lerner alongside Frank Nobilo, and we'll see you next time. EA Sports and the PGA Tour proudly present the season-long race for the FedEx Cup. Today it's live third-round coverage of the International Challenge. Good lie in the fairway. A good chance to make something happen here.
Rich, I remember back in 1997 playing alongside Tiger Woods in the third round. You know what he shot that day?
It was low. It was a great round, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the lowest round he's ever shot in the Open Championship. 64 to be precise. Justin Leonard went on to win the Open Championship that year.
Pretty good shot right there. These putts keep the round together. Almost. Wow. Missed putt. And a drop shot here at the 10th. Just needs to keep it steady here over the putt. Not her best effort. Walks away with a bogey. Frank, this 11th hole can be a real bear. Even the Golden Bear knows that.
Just to remind him, in his rookie year in 1962, he made a whopping 11. Now, I can't remember the last time I heard Jack Nicklaus made double figures on one hole.
And so maybe a bogey 5 or even a double bogey 6. Not so bad. Third shot, looking for a good one. Just an excellent shot right there, about 5 feet away. Good chance. That's how you keep a round going, make them from that distance. Back here on the bonny shores of Scotland at Royal Troon Golf Club with just a wee breeze, as they say over here, Frank. On the tee at the 12th.
Yeah, hole that bends to the right, gorse right and left. There's a bit of a mound and rough down the right side. That has to be avoided.
She's ended up on the fairway, and with such a good lie, so many more options available now. Frank, this one's not looking good.
Yeah, certainly not down the fairway line, heading toward the rough.
How tough is this going to be now from the rough, Frank?
Oh, it's tough to say, Rich. I mean, so much is going to depend on that lie. I'm going to need a little bit of luck.
And drops it in. And now the tee shot here at the 472-yard par 4 13th.
A hole that bends to the right, ideally hit it down the left side, and then you're playing to a raised two-tiered green.
Getting set for this next shot from the rough, what does the player need to be careful of here, Frank?
Well, this is where we're going to see exactly how good they are, because, you know, that's not exactly the best lie, but it's sort of doable if you know what you're doing.
Frank couldn't ask for anything more.
Just the lie there, too. It is sitting up like it's teed up.
Setting up for an approach shot here. Well, this is the kind of wind that separates the great players from the average players. You really have to be strong to handle these kinds of winds. Heading for home now, Frank, the par 3 14th, just under 180 yards. What's the key here?
Well, it's rather narrow at the front there. There's 3 bunkers, but it's the second 2 that you're really worried about that narrow the front of the screen up. Plus, the front is slightly raised, so ideally you want it to fly more towards the middle where it starts to widen up.
Been pretty good all day from this distance, just trying to take care of business.
Ooh, good effort right there. Almost made it.
Clean this up with a tap.
Did the job right there. Day 3, and what a tournament this is shaping up to be, Frank.
Quite simply, great weather, great golf, great fans, which is the perfect mix for a golfer trying to win a tournament. The final round, if this is anything to go by, has to just be sensational.
EA Sports and the PGA Tour proudly present the season-long race for the FedEx Cup. Today, it's live final round coverage of the International Challenge. Now playing the second here at the par 4.
Oh, this is taken off on a weird line.
And it's going to be in the rough, it looks like. With that ball nestled down just a bit in that heavy rough. Just trying to make clean contact from the rough.
Well, that's a little absurd, that, Rich. The shot wasn't that hard, but it's come up well short.
Wow, what a shot.
What are the chances of making it from there?
On the tee here at 14, it's another par 3, Frank.
You don't get caught looking at the front of the green. That's where it's at its most narrow. Ideally, something that pitches just into the top of that mound.
Good roll. Solid. That's a par. Now at the 15th at Royal Troon Golf Club, 483-yard par 4. This, Frank, is one of the hardest holes in the course.
It's certainly a stout par 4 at that distance. If you're playing it into a head breeze, then 260 yards is certainly going to be a big tee shot. But 260 yards takes all the bunkers out of play.
Excellent drive, Frank. Right where you want to be. Frank, this one is veering far to the left. And it looks like it's in the rough there, Frank.
It might not be as bad as it looks. Rich, too much grass between ball and club face.
Paid a price with the tee ball landing in the rough. Frank, this is where the mental... That is professional with a capital P right there.
That's stealing.
The back nine here at Royal Troon has only one par 5, and here it is, Frank.
At 542 yards, you'd think it's reachable, but that burn cuts in at 280 yards, so it means you have to lay back. But I remember back in 1997, playing alongside Tiger Woods, and he still managed to get it onto the green from behind the burn. That was some shot.
You knew at that point he was something special.
He certainly was. He then knocked it in from 40 feet for an eagle 3.
That is tasty looking right there, Frank. Just a perfect spot in the fairway.
That is prime real estate. How do you get a lie like that? Seriously, you could hit any club from there.
Well played here. Went straight for the flagstick, and she will have a nice putt coming up. Standing over this putt, concentrating on the read. Good putt. Final par 3 here at Royal Troon. It's the 17th. And what kind of a hole is it, Frank?
Well, this takes your best long iron shot. Normally plays back into the prevailing breeze. You miss this green on the left, it will run all the way down the hill. The bunkers might look short, but if your tee shot isn't hit properly, it'll puff up into that breeze and certainly find a pot bunker.
Perfect. And in the hole. What a shot. Frank, you've played in and contended at so many major championships. It's not a major if the finishing hole doesn't present a real challenge. What do you think of Royal Troon's finishing hole?
Well, it's not just the 18th hole, Rich, too. It's 16, 17, and 18 because the prevailing breeze, especially at the Open Championship time of the year, which is the second week in July, is normally back into it. So you look at that 464 yards, that's well bunkered off the tee, 3 on the left, 1 on the right, into a puffer breeze, and you've got yourself a great finishing hole.
Slight waggle, relaxed arms, ready to go. 13 feet away.
Unlucky for some, but very makeable. Really. This is an awkward length.
So a tough way to close the round, missing a short putt and a bogey here at 18. This would be one drop shot for her if she makes it. That's a bogey putt, dropping down the leaderboard a bit, now at 2 over par. That'll put a wrap on our final round coverage for all of us at EA Sports. I'm Rich Lerner. We'll see you next time. EA Sports and the Wolf Creek Golf Club so proudly present opening round coverage of the EA Sports Spring Invitational.
Appears to be a smart shot, Frank.
Yeah, no problem here. That's going to fly all the way.
That shot does finish up on the green, but it sets up for a very difficult putt. Pretty long putt right here. You'd be happy to get it to within 2-3 feet. Looks like he just misread that.
Settles in over the putt.
You couldn't ask for much more than that, except to make it. Just a couple of feet. So that's a bogey, and now to 1 over par for the tournament. Now to the par 5, 12. Pretty big hole with a really big green.
And a really good blue area to the left, called water there. That's to be avoided off this tee, that's for sure. A good drive that avoids all of that. And then the hole is certainly reachable, but as you can see, water creeps in again, back right on this hole. So just don't get too cavalier here. A 5 wouldn't be the worst score. I know you want better, but believe me, seen many of 6s and 7s racked up here at 12.
Frank, that ball's sitting up like it's on plush carpeting.
Rich, if you and I had lies like that every time, we'd still be playing this game for 11.
Early part of this back 9 and a good approach shot. Now we'll have this for birdie.
It's at sneaky distance.
Wow, almost whiffed on that putt. Came right out of it. Well short.
Shouldn't be a problem here.
Can't make it, Frank, if you don't hit it.
Hubert Green once said, 99% of putts left short don't go in. What happened to the other 1%? But...
So, 2 over par for the round.
13th hole is where the action is right now. Let's take you there.
Frank, what's the mindset this late in the first round when you haven't played your best?
Well, somehow you've got to get into the clubhouse, minimize the damage. You've also got to figure out what's gone wrong. Little trip to the range, fix it up. Tomorrow will be a better day.
That green is tucked back in the corner, Frank, here at the 13th. What's the right way to get at it?
Well, if you haven't tried to drive this green over the canyon, it's a relatively straightforward pitch up the hill. And up the hill means you've got a little bit of a backstop, so you can be very aggressive with a second shot.
Playing this par 4, still not on the green after that second shot.
But still not done. A good third shot, maybe get away here with par.
And setting up here in the rough. Well, this is how you build a good round, Frank. You just keep hitting greens. Sitting right now at 2 over par for the round. Not her best effort, walks away with a bogey. 14th hole here at Wolf Creek. Time to pull out the driver and as well the phone, because you want to take some pictures here. What a spectacular view.
Stunning. You can see a whole panoramic sort of 360 degrees right around this golf course. Then when you flick back and actually look at the 14th hole, there's 6 bunkers, 3 really in play with the tee shot, as you can see, the other 3 just up by the green. Anything to the right of those is preferred, unless you want to be playing your second shot out of the canyon or the bunkers. Green should be fairly receptive, and 3 distinct portions, which is sort of a common trait here at Wolf Creek. That's sort of 3 different tier levels in that. But let's see, birdies are to be made at Wolf Creek, maybe even one here.
Well, we've seen this before today in the bunker. This is the 4th shot now coming out of the bunker. That is always so disappointing from that kind of a spot when you come up short.
Yeah, you're licking your chops over that one. A shot you think you could hit directly at the flag. Now, test for the short game.
So a tester from 4 feet. This would be a good time to reverse the slide. 5 over par on the day.
Now to the short par 3 15th hole here at Wolf Creek. What is this, Frank? Just a wedge or a 9-iron?
That's all, Rich, but it's very tempting to get greedy here. And, well, you pay the price, obviously, if you miss the green on the left down on those bunkers because they're a good 6-7 feet below the level of the green. But with a wedge or a 9-iron, who doesn't go aiming at the flag? Second shot.
Oh, man.
Just pushed it.
Boy, that hurts. Locked in on the read and the speed. Just drip that in.
Well, it's 4 1/4 inches. Use it all.
And that'll wrap up the first round. We saw some good golf today, Frank, but some others, they got off to a slow start.
Yeah, and I don't really know how to explain why. Maybe lack of practice rounds, maybe not enough time on the golf course. They certainly will have to regroup tomorrow and put up a show just to make the cut.
EA Sports and the Wolf Creek Golf Club so proudly present second round coverage of the EA Sports Spring Invitational.
Now, this is not heading in the right direction.
No, it looks like it's going to be in the rough. Into the tall cabbage. That ball is swallowed up. Second shot coming out of the rough here. Chance to get it close here. Frank, what are the factors that go into playing at elevation?
First of all, try and factor in how far you are above sea level, because that's going to create the thinner air where that ball's going to keep traveling. Plus, in the desert here, we get warm air, so the ball's going to go even further. And then Wolf Creek makes it even harder because they give you these elevated tees. So it is a little bit of a guessing game, but the fun part is, though, when you see it stand on a tee like the second hole, that's 9 stories high, and you tee it up with a driver, you really can hit the ball close to 400 yards. That's the fun part about it.
Wow, way to the right here.
And there's rough over there. And that was a little over-ambitious. Remember, out of the rough. Expect the ball to jump forward a little bit.
Been this way all day. Airtight, no mistakes, solid shot.
And yet another green in regulation.
That's good work right there. Just a tap in. You can't leave it short, Frank.
Oh, and especially right in the middle. Even par currently.
Frank, how do you explain what we saw here?
It's a mess. It's probably the easiest way to put it. This is a case of anything that could go wrong. Not just probably, it did.
No fairway here. This one in that rough. Okay, the second shot now at this par 5. So going well up the hill to that green, we'll need to take an extra club here. I think this one looks like it might have a postage stamp on it. Airmail City.
Yeah, lick it. Send it.
Well on the green, but far from the hole.
A little bit of a head scratcher. A lot of work coming up here.
Long putt here. This will require a good touch. So early on the backside here at the 12th hole, missed opportunity.
Really. This is an awkward length.
Just didn't read that one quite right.
Been pretty good all day from this distance, just trying to take care of business.
Frank, this has been an absolute mess today and all week long.
You said it best.
Now to the 13th hole, and, oh, I don't know, should we just fly it over the mountains, Frank?
It looks like that, but then you better find dry land. 350 yards, but as the crow flies, it's probably just a little over 300 yards. I don't know if the mere mortals would really want to flash it across that desert ridge. You probably want to play a little left of it, have a little pitch up the hill, but if you're one of the longer hitters, why not just try it, see if you can make it.
On the green in regulation.
This is a long birdie putt here, requires good judgment of the speed and the line.
Just try to lag it down there. Always two components to the long lag putt, the speed, number one, and then the read. And missed out on that second part.
That is a painful miss right there.
And a bogey, drop shot here at the 13th. Good chunk of real estate here, 22 feet away.
That was a good run at it, Rich.
Shouldn't be a problem here.
A little bit more hope than determination in that putt.
This, I hate to say it, for a triple bogey. Well, once you hit double to par, it's time to just pick up and move on. Now to the 14th hole, and Frank, this is probably the best par 4 here at Wolf Creek.
It's certainly the hole that they take the most photographs on, Rich, and you can see why. Great vantage point of the whole golf course. The hole's just sort of littered with bunkers down the left side. So you know where not to go once again. Go to the right side of that. Hole just keeps sort of hooking around that left side. It plays under 450 yards. It's fun. Just sort of draw it a little off the tee, draw it a little into the green, and you'll be fine.
Mishit, wrong club. What happened there, Frank?
All of the above, maybe. It's a little bit of a head scratcher. Wasn't that hard a shot. That's a tough lie to come out of. Not surprising it's come up short.
Well short right there, but still in the game for a par. Well, you almost lose count at this point. Safe to say, not under par. In fact, well over par. Here at the 15th hole here at Wolf Creek, bit of a breather here. Nice short par 3. You don't want to miss this green.
No, that's the temptation there. If you try and bite off a little too much because it looks a little too easy, then a bogey here and you're in a bad mood all of a sudden at Wolf Creek.
Frank made this hole just a little bit harder hitting it into the rough.
I would say a lot harder. Not a problem there, Rich.
This one just requires a little bit of focus.
So after all that, it's a bogey. Frank, disappointing couple of rounds there.
And consequently a miscut. No chance of playing in the weekend, but there's more than one tournament ahead.
EA Sports and the PGA Tour proudly present the season-long race for the FedEx Cup. Today, it's live opening round coverage of the Boston Championship. Good tee shot, good lie, and now a good chance to take advantage here on this hole.
This, the second shot here at the par 4.
And her golf ball lands in that first cut. Still can get a club on it, and let's see what she does from there. Well, certainly playable from here. Ball is in the first cut. Not too bad. Okay, good shot on the dance floor. Really not much to this. The only issue would be a lack of concentration or focus. Been a little too much of that, Frank. Just sort of ho-hum pars. Frank, here at the 16th, you really see this sort of New England character, don't you?
Yeah, that stone wall now protects that sort of two-tiered green. And it sort of showcases the golf course. It just fits in beautifully with what Hans and Faxon have done to the golf course.
Hoping to get this up and down here, Frank, at the par 3 after missing the green.
Yeah, it's not all bad. Second shot.
Suddenly a ray of sunshine with that birdie.
There is hope. Now on the top 25.
All right, you want to bring it home in style. You want to finish with a flourish. 412-yard, par 4 17th. What's the way to play it?
Just head it down the right side. You don't really want to mess with that sort of rock crop bunkers down the left side. All sorts of bad things happen if you finish there.
Good lie in the fairway. Good chance to make something happen here. Players bracing against these strong, gusty winds. Really a challenge out there. Just a bit offline and into the bunker. Great professionals, Frank. They don't fear greenside bunker shot, do they?
No, because you can be as aggressive or as conservative as you want. You actually have far more options. And you don't have to hit the ball first.
Stays at 1 under with that par. On to the 18th and a big par 5 to finish out the round.
Yeah, fun way. Let's see. Course record 61. What can you do here?
Second from an excellent lie. Third shot, looking for a good one. Good looking shot right here. That shot does finish up on the green, but it sets up for a very difficult putt. This is a long putt. Really the key is the speed. If it drops, that's a bonus. Speed wasn't bad on that long putt, but the read wasn't very good. These putts keep the round together. Never quite had enough oomph on that.
Yeah, sort of a wishy-washy stroke.
Standing over this putt, concentrating on the read. So with that, the score is now at even par. Frank, the great thing about TPC Boston, it generates fireworks. It's that kind of course, and we saw it today.
Yeah, and you can compare yourself, or you just have, with the best in the game, because they play there every year.
No doubt about it, my friend. And for all of us here at EA Sports, alongside my partner Frank Nobilo, I'm Rich Lerner saying, until next time. EA Sports and the PGA Tour proudly present the season-long race for the FedEx Cup. Today, it's live second-round coverage of the Boston Championship. Now the second shot to the par 5. Frank, here at the 7th, there's a choice to be made.
Yeah, you can see the distinct reward for a good iron shot. If you get that ball on that right tier, then it's certainly a relatively flat birdie chance up ahead.
Bit surprising, misses the green in regulation here at the par 5.
Yeah, you'd think this is one of the easier holes on the golf course. So now just trying to avoid 6.
You like this one, Frank?
Oh, it's a good one. Safely on. Even par currently. You'd like that one again.
Oh, man.
I just pushed it.
Boy, that hurts. Just a couple of feet. Well, with that drop shot, moves to 1 over for the tournament. Hole number 8 now, 213 yards in length, a par 3. And Frank, what can we expect?
Really narrow at the front of this green. A lot of mounding. Ball normally kicks towards the left. One place you don't want to go, though, is that left bunker. The bunker shot's all downhill from there. This is an awkward length.
Come on, you have to make that, don't you? Drop shot here at the 8th, and getting ready for the putt. So another bogey on the scorecard. And Frank, what happened this week?
I think it's a week to forget, Rich.
Hole number 9, Frank, 472 yards. Good par 4.
Yeah, if you blink, it'll catch you. Whoop, this is taken off on a weird line.
And it's going to be in the rough, it looks like. Into the tall cabbage. That ball is swallowed up. Second shot coming out of the rough here. So she's rolled into that first cut. It's not a perfect line, but not bad either. Frank, this is where the mental game really comes into play. You've hit a second consecutive shot into the rough.
Yeah, this could compound very, very quickly. So now's a chance to just take a little breath, take a breather, and try to make sure this shot certainly gets out.
Fourth shot, wants to get this close. This would give her the bogey. Those are painful from that distance.
Yeah, just another one added to the card. Big mistake.
Finally in for a double bogey. Rich Lerner alongside Frank Novelo for EA Sports. We're back on a beautiful fall day here at the TPC Boston, getting set to kick off the action here on the back 9. Nice position, short grass, second shot. Chance for birdie after that beautiful shot. Needs a pair of binoculars to see the hole. So a long putt there and just didn't read it quite right. Shouldn't be a problem here, but not a formality either. Oh, hello there. Really nice putt. 11th hole here at TPC Boston. Frank, this is a stout par 3 at 231 yards.
Plays a little bit uphill, and that big gaping bunker just short right. Have to avoid that. This is definitely not going down the fairway.
It doesn't look good. I think it's going to be in the deep rough. How tough is this going to be now from the rough, Frank?
Oh, it's tough to say, Rich. I mean, so much is going to depend on that lie. I'm going to need a little bit of luck.
Coming out of the rough and right up next to the hole. This one just requires a little bit of focus. You can't leave it short, Frank.
Oh, and especially right in the middle.
Nudge this one home, finish it up. He takes care of business there.
Solid stroke.
Frank, the 12th looks to be a pretty straightforward par 4.
Just bends to the left. There's a big sort of crop of mounds on that right side. If you can just go a little left of those, you get a nice kick forward.
Frank made this hole just a little bit harder hitting it into the rough.
I would say a lot harder.
Second shot coming out of the rough here.
Now, this is not heading in the right direction.
It looks like it's going to be in the rough. All right, now another shot from the rough.
Yeah, this time better be better than the one we just saw. Our computer gives us 23 feet, Rich.
And it's a long way to the hole from here. Never easy. Well, you couldn't ask for much more than that, except to make it. So a tester from 4 feet. So a drop shot.
A very quick exit, miscut. Not the only one there, but surprising.
The weekend now to regroup. Just didn't hit many good shots. EA Sports is proud to present PGA Tour coverage. And we welcome you to one of the most popular golf courses on the PGA Tour. It is Quail Hollow. We're in Charlotte, North Carolina, and Frank, it is just starting to heat up out on the golf course. Fans are streaming in, anticipating a highly contested event with the best golfers in the world.
One reason the fans love this course so much, Rich, the Green Mile. It's fine to have a good golf course, but it's got to have a great finish. It's got a great finish, then it becomes a great golf course. Quail Hollow has that great finish of 16, 17, and 18.
Tug that one a little bit offline to the left, and he'll pay a bit of a price because that rough is fairly thick. Pretty good result right there, considering...
It looked rough all the way.
Exactly.
Rich, really did.
And Frank, that steady play continues.
Rock solid. Excellent approach shot.
Getting set now over the putt. Frank, you can see by the reaction, it has been that kind of week. Just a few too many pars. Frank, a nice mix of opening holes here at Quail Hollow in the Wells Fargo Championship. Pretty short par 3 here at the second.
180-yard shot. Will play more like 175 for the half a club downhill. There's much more green on that right side. If you're not too sure what club to hit, then you should stay away from that left side.
That shot does finish up on the green, but it sets up for a very difficult putt. Long putt here. This will require a good touch. Speed wasn't bad on that long putt, but the read wasn't very good. These putts keep the round together. Come on, don't do that.
Cruel lip out.
Just a tap in to finish the hole. Well, with that drop shot, moves to 1 over for the tournament. Frank, here at the third, players facing a challenging tee shot.
For a number of reasons, Rich. One, that the hole bends to the left. 2, that the fairway starts to run out. And 3, the length of the second shot. You get rewarded the better you hit your tee shot down here. Oh, that was sweet. Straight down the middle.
Now the approach here at the third. Slight waggle, relaxed arms, ready to go.
Rich, these players aren't getting a reprieve with the win right now.
And right from the start, the winds have been kicking pretty good.
Yeah, but at least it's presenting that challenge for the players that don't get every other day.
And this will test the player. I mean, it's one thing to play with no wind in perfect conditions, but as we know, golf is a game of variables.
Yeah, and better strike will be rewarded today.
+2 already. And now back over to the fourth. With a key stretch of holes ahead, our featured golfer really has struggled in the early going, Frank.
Yeah, a few mistakes out there, unforced errors you might want to say. So really, attention to detail should be the concern right now.
Into the tall cabbage. That ball is swallowed up. So she's rolled into that first cut. It's not a perfect lie, but not bad either. Frank, this is where the mental game really comes into play. You've hit a second consecutive shot into the rough.
This could compound very, very quickly. So now's a chance to just take a little breath, take a breather, and try to make sure this shot certainly gets out.
That's a disappointment right there, Frank.
Yeah, green light special, really. Come up considerably short.
Frank, anytime you're inside 15 feet, you have to like your chances.
Yeah, our computer gives us 13 feet to be precise.
Oh, my goodness. Woefully short on that putt. Settles in over the putt. Those are painful from that distance.
Yeah, just another one added to the card. Big mistake.
This would be a good time to reverse the slide. 5 over par on the day. Frank, in today's modern game where players are hitting it so far, I always feel like one of the more exciting holes is a reachable par 5, and here we are at the 5th, 570 yards.
Yeah, this is reachable providing you hit a good drive. Otherwise, it becomes very awkward on the layup. Sort of often threading the ball out of trees and just trying to find some sort of third shot. So to your point, big advantage with a good tee shot here.
Good tee shot right in the short grass. Second shot coming up here at the par 5. Frank couldn't ask for anything more.
Just the lie there, too. It is sitting up like it's teed up.
Pretty good shot. That ball settles in about 13 feet away.
You'd like to think unlucky for some, but birdie putt coming up.
With a good read, might have been able to make it from that distance, but not to be. Just a couple of feet. Good putt. Well, that'll do it for today. Not a great performance, not on the first page of that leaderboard.
Yeah, the